So I just sent Tomas out for a bottle of rum. So, because that's how I'm rolling right at this second.
Oh, I miss Ram so much.
I didn't drink rum for forever until we started being in a band together, and then
Yeah, you told me.
yeah, because you drink Captain Morgan's. So I'll just do a little background. So about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, like way too long ago,
In another galaxy.
we had a mutual friend I had been in a band with called We're Not Vampires. You had been working with Ben Santana, kind of a virtuoso Mexican drummer. He had approached me saying he wanted to start a math metal band, and I'm not really sure what he had said to you. He had basically convinced me to come into this project, and you, me, and him, and Samael Sambra, who was mostly doing kind of like crooning Mexican ballad covers as a guitarist and singer. We brought in a bassist, and that kind of formed the skeleton and backbone of what would become the progressive rock project Epic Fail 1980. Well, actually, your dyslexia, it was supposed to be 1983, but what turned out to be 1893. And we eventually added Carl Restivo from Tom Morello and Extreme and Rihanna and all that stuff, and Jillian Glover. It was a conceptual album that we ended up putting together. But you were kind of the driving force melodically behind that project. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Let's start with the beginning. I found Ben several times in bars in Guanajuato. It's a small city, and he told me like, "Hey, what's up, Tomas?
Hey, brother.
Good to see you, bro."
So Tommy Sparky, he'll come into this story later on.
So this guy and me, we start to talk about start a band, right? A new project, and well, we start to rehearsal, and in some point we say like, okay, we need like another people in the band, right? So he proposed you, Kent Evans, the author,
Terrible
and I
idea.
proposed Sombras, right? Both equally bad. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how it started, I guess. Like we started jamming. I had a couple of riffs that I introduced to you guys. Me and Ben, we make like the skeleton of the songs with the riffs and the parts. And you and Sombras put your thing, you do with especially with the lyrics, and Sombras with his long and beautiful hair.
Exactly. It's always the bass player that gets laid. But with the lyrics, it was like kind of this challenge where we came in and you had some ideas for some of the songs and where you wanted to go with it. At the very least, titles and the general idea. I guess there was always this idea also that we wanted to kind of make it bilingual, Spanglish, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's how we talk between us, like sometimes we say things in español, pero luego cambiamos otra vez en inglés, entonces it was like natural to write in both languages because we use both languages, right?
Right. Yeah, so there's songs like Revolution where it was like primarily in Spanish, Welcome or Country where it's entirely in English. There's things like Gypsy, which Yumi and Carl Restivo wrote, which are definitely Spanglish, with Carl having to phonetically sing the Spanish because he doesn't speak Spanish.
But that's what it makes it interesting, the song, It's like, it's the spicy of the song. It's something weird there,
Yeah, algo picante. Yeah.
Mucho picante.
So people know my background. Before Epic Fail, I had my solo project at Dust Industry and the band We're Not Vampires with Ben and some other stuff. But you came from a band that had played Viva Latino and has had quite a bit of success in Guanajuato and beyond. Why don't you talk a little bit about Seven Rays?
All right, Seven Rays. It was my first big important band, I say. It started like, I don't know, like I was 16, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I actually met you guys, and I guess Caracol was the predecessor to that band, and like we were both before we knew each.
Yeah, it's Caracol was in the middle of the transformation of the first band with the Haidar that was Mezcal. It was Haidar, me, and Juan Diego on the drums, and another guy, Manzano, on the bass. Then I moved to Mexico City, and I convinced Haidar to come with me to study music. And Caracol was in the middle of both. When I was starting to create like seven rays with Haidar and Eddie and Chava that are from my school. I met them there. And in the middle was with Caracol people that they are also from here, from Guanajuato.
We met before we knew each other and didn't really remember it. I just remember a room full of like absurdly tall Mexicans.
That happens all the time. Every time that we play in, I don't know, in Mexico City or Guadalajara or wherever, it's like, all people in Guanajuato are as tall as you guys. Was Juanca, and Tony are almost my height, so we're pretty walking tall. So I started to play with these guys in Mexico City, my friends from the school. So I started to play with Chava and Eddie, right, from my school. We were creating some songs, so it was a good time for me. And Juanca immediately said like, hey dude, I want to keep playing with you. And I like what you are doing with Haidar, Eddie and Chava. So let me join you guys. And I was like, sure man, perfect. You're my buddy, right? It's natural that we want you on the band, right? And that's how it became Seven Rays.
What is the origin of the name Seven Rays?
The true story, I was discussing with my ex-girlfriend at that moment, and meanwhile all the guys were rehearsing and drinking on the rehearsal studio. I was disgusting, and then
You were probably disgusting too, but
yeah, it was disgusting discussion, yeah. And I think it was Chava or Eddie, I don't remember who. He came to me and was like, dude, we found the name. We are sure about the name. And we're like, okay, what's the name? Seven Rays. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool, but why? And they told me like, oh no, Juanca knows this kind of rock, a stone that has seven colors and it's called the Seven Rays. And we're like, okay, cool, well, it works, I guess. That was the part that I know from the name.
all right. Fucking
It was
hippies.
discussion.
And then how many albums did you guys release?
Well, we released two albums, Seven Rays, an EP,
Yeah.
7 songs, and the second one was Con Dirección al Sol.
And there were quite a few music videos from both those, yeah?
Oh yeah, like probably 7.
Wow, I guess that makes sense.
I don't know.
Wonka had told me he was going to shoot the video for Worms in my bar, and obviously he had made other plans as well, and I was like the backup, and he hadn't told me, but like my bartenders were still pissed. They were there at like 5 a.m. waiting for him to show up.
I never knew about that, dude. We were looking for a place to record, obviously. By the way, that song was our first hit and our first single, and that was the one to bring us to Viva Latino.
Yeah, no, that was I mean that's part of the reason that I ended up covering that song when Wonka passed.
Yeah.
So Saka, tell me about Viva Latino. How did that all come about?
Oh, we were very green, dude. We were like not ready for that. I mean, we did it, and I think we did a good job. But it was a bad day, and we were the first band of the day at 2:00 in the afternoon. So the song was heavy. All the people were there for the reunion of Caifanes. It was in 2011. So they all ran from the door to the main stage to just be there like, I don't know, like 8 hours waiting for.
No, for anyone that doesn't know, Viva Latino is kind of like Lollapalooza in Mexico.
In that moment was the biggest festival in Mexico.
Epic Fail we have an official music video for Dr. Gypsy
We have
Carl.
but we have the live one. So yeah, we have 3.
And then we have a concert video of Cosby, which was all about Bill Cosby. And the lyrics, while offensive to all Americans, no one in Mexico really has that cultural understanding of Bill Cosby. That's a live video. And then we have Welcome, which was kind of the last video before Ben kind of needed a break from us. But the video for Dr. Gypsy, we got nominated at several festivals, including the Sidewalk Film Festival, which was pretty fucking crazy, and the Seattle Transmedia Independent Film Festival, where we won Best Music Video over some guys with Sir Mix-a-Lot. So that was crazy since it was a rapper from Seattle. And we were nominated in Long Beach and a couple other places, and we went on tour for that. So I did that. That was like your first time in the States, and my longest time on the West Coast for a while. How was that whole experience for you?
It was amazing, dude. I mean, you hear talk about the West Coast in the United States, but I don't know. It was great. Like just like the vibes, the people. At least in the West Coast, we didn't have any problem with anyone. You know, it was like very fair and open and no racist.
Well, it was right before Trump got elected, and no one could believe that it was a possibility. Though everywhere we went,
everyone were in denial. But
it was just you and me of the Epic Fail project that went. So we had a lot of pickup musicians who played with us. So we got
amazing.
Yeah, incredible. It was like in Sidewalk, which was incredible in Alabama, where the whole time that we were touring, people were like, "Oh my God, don't go to Alabama. You guys drink too much and like Chinese and Mexican. They're gonna fucking kill you." But we arrived, and it's like, oh, it's a bunch of day drinking artists who don't give a fuck. Like we're home. We had Jake Weitzman from Vulture Whale on drums, and who is the other Jake on bass? That amazing bass player.
Plays amazing.
I'm gonna put it in text under here. In Los Angeles, we played that all-star rock show, which was Soundcheck, which Steve Ferlazzo, the keyboard player for Avril Lavigne, him and his wife put that show together, and it was like we had you, me, and Carl from
Lucky Strike.
Yeah, Lucky Strike. We had me, you, and Carl. Plus, we had Rod Diaz from Suicidal Tendencies, who's now with Korn, one of your favorite bands. Yeah. And we had Damian Arriaga on drums from Jonas Brothers and Nick Jonas and a bunch of other stuff.
I had to play with everyone.
Before the show, we were kind of out on the patio smoking cigarettes, and you were with those two guys, and like obviously we're in LA, so we're speaking English because of me, but at some point you realize that like Ra and Damian are Venezuelan and Chilean.
People, so we started speaking in Spanish, and it was great to meet like guys that left home and they became some kind of famous and great and amazing people in the music industry in LA. You know, that's not easy.
Let's talk about what you're doing right now. You're about to launch a webpage and a Patreon, or what are you about to launch?
Yeah, I'm trying to launch everything, you know, on the bundle, the page, the Patreon. I will follow your steps. My goal is to make an album. I've been trying to do this album since the pandemic started. I just need a little push from things like Patreon to start to make more videos on YouTube. Or Patreon is the thing that will make me like focus and finish the record.
So what's the concept of the record? Like what?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, it's mostly instrumental. I have like 15 riffs that I have to clean up and check which ones are good and which are not. I have 2 solid riffs that I think are like gonna be the singles, and a bunch of ideas about videos and stuff for them. But well, I'm kind of stuck in the songs, like trying to figure out what's the goal of each song, you know? How big do I want it to be, or if it's gonna be like a bunch of solos, or it's gonna be more focused on riffs, or I think it's gonna be more like a mix. But I also trying to put like some electronic music and some I don't know, a little bit of everything. You know how is the music that I compose? You know, it's always trying to pick up some rhythm or some culture, and try to mix it with rock or with samba or whatever I feel it, right? You know, so
nice.
It's like trying to mix a lot of flavor from the world. That's like the way that I compose, I guess. I'm not sure.
Nice. And do you have an idea when it's gonna come out?
Well, at least I wanna release one of the singles, or maybe both. I'm not sure, for Halloween, because Halloween is a cool day for zombies, you know.
All right, man. So, well, it's always good seeing you. We're not actually that far away from each other, but you know, the post-pandemic, post-infant, you know, that's always a little.
Yeah, man, it's been hard.
So, thank you so much to multi-instrumentalist, composer, vocalist, virtuoso guitarist, and general all-around amazing guy, Zombie Morgan. So
Thank you for inviting me, dude. It was a fucking pleasure, and you know how much I love you and I appreciate you, and you're my brother, bro.
Absolutely, man. Like let's get to work on something soon. All right.
Of course, let's do it.